So hello, I'm Junhee. I'm glad to share with you the insights of Vietnam pharmaceutical market. So the presentation is divided into four parts. First, I will identify the anomaly of the industry. Then I will try to apply Pesto, Porter 5 foxes, actually not really recent in a framework, but I will try to impede them in the analysis. So from that, I will identify market gaps and propose some strategies for Vietnamese pharma. Vietnam pharmaceutical markets is on the road, especially in the period of COVID-19, where we import very large amount of API from China and India. The 2021 national strategy states that the aim is to achieve WHO level 4 of classification for manufacturing API and excipients. If achieved, we should satisfy 50% of country needs. Looking at the supply chain map, local pharma firms with wholesale licenses and CDP standard warehouses can supply hospital directly. Many like the HG or Trafaco do this to skip intermediaries. Foreign ones, however, must deal local distributor. From July 2025, new law allows foreign investment enterprise to distribute their own Vietnam-made products if CDP compliant. This creates higher competitive forces to local firms. Recent years, we have seen large M&A deals from Germany or Japan companies. However, only 19 that have EU GMP approved. As this 90% of API has to be imported, which half of them come from China and India. This also lists the anomaly. Despite having hundreds of GMP certified factories, why Vietnam still imports 70% of finished medicine and 90% of API. As a result, our imports is outweigh export. This leads to a supply chain heavily dependent on foreign partners, which poses a risk to national health security. Additionally, meeting EU GMP standards remains a major challenge due to high financial and technological requirements. There are 5 years left for the pharma industry to execute the national strategy. In the meantime, there are 3 problems that the pharma sector must solve. First, patients often believe imported drugs are more effective than domestic ones. So although the government has policy encouraging Vietnamese products, changing this perception is difficult because it directly concerns patient health. Second, Vietnam's pharma industry lacks financial resources, technology, and human capital. Very few pharmaceutical research studies are published in Vietnam. As a result, the industry always lacks personnel with the necessary expertise. Therefore, most companies produce generic drugs once brand name intellectual property expires. Finally, referential policies, such as tax reduction or exemption, do exist, but to truly benefit from them, there are many paperwork to do. It is forecasted that the role in patented drugs will be slower than that of generic drugs. One key reason is that developing a new drug often takes more than a decade to gain approval due to paperwork. This creates a market gap for specialty drugs and treatments. If local firms could use their technology to reduce this, there will be huge advantages. To reach the bottleneck, 4 high impact levels must be prioritized. First, scale and capital consolidation. Vietnam's generic market is fragmented, limiting investment in advanced and tech and global expansion, so merging form to 3 or 4 national champions would create scale to pursue EU GMP upgrades, R&D, and export dossiers. Larger firms can negotiate better API prices, invest in biosimilars, and enter tech transfer partnership. So, moreover, a one-stop digital licensing system should unify approvals across manufacturing, pricings, or clinicals, fast-track pathway for EU GMP certification, and pair them with the tax incentives can ease compliance. So, at the same time, Vietnam must invest in pharmaceutical R&D, talent in education. Thirdly, a public-private API biotech cluster in Bình Dương or Đồng Nai should be established through joint venture with Chinese and India API producer supported by government's policies. And lastly, trust in local drugs remain low despite comparable air quality. following Malaysia and Thailand hand, so Vietnam could adopt a Japan quality export list. So from first gain PMDA approval for selected generics, which have morphine and export pilot parties to Japan, and then re-enter Vietnam tenders a Japan approval generics. This elevates brand perception and quality assurance. So to close Vietnam's strength gap, hundreds of GMP plants, yet 70% of drugs and 90% of API is still imported. Three move matter most. First, build domestic API capacity through joint venture and fiscal incentive. Second, fast-track R&D and regulatory capability, and one-stop digital licensing. And lastly, sharpen the competitiveness in hospital tenders by exporting to Japan and return a Japan approved generics and restoring trust in local brands. So this is the end of presentation. Thank you for your attention. And this is our reference, and you can also watch the abbreviation and key terms here for industry relevant works.